evening. You're all welcome. And allow me to start recording this session. Perfect. As usual, I would encourage you to turn on your cameras and your mic whenever you need to ask a question so that we can have an interactive session as in person. And just to give you heads up, our in-person sessions are starting in November in Nairobi, Joburg, and Lagos. So if you're in these places, you can join us. Also, our community leaders are going to organize in-person session in all the cities like Kampala, Kaduna, Abuja, Kano, Dar es Salaam, among us many other cities we have presence, including Accra. And we look forward to supplement the online. So the online session will still be there, whereby you can come in, interact with the expert, the speakers, and answer, get your question answered. Just heads up, for those who have not been joining us, and maybe this is your first time, or maybe you joined some of the sessions, you could join the others, not to worry. We have a comprehensive recorded playlist, and the code is sitting in GitHub or the repo of your choice. Also, the modules are available on the event blab. You just click on the link and you'll get all the information you need. Remember, this session should be self-paced, where you just get all the details and follow the labs as well as you build, your capstone projects, and reach out on Slack. So I'll be sharing a couple of important links that you need to go step by step. Also, something else that is very important, according to the people who are joining as your first event or second event, feel free to redeem the credits. Among us, the links that I'll post on the chat, one of them is the credits. So you'll get $5, which could help you test your projects, run them, and ensure that everything is working fine. So in case those credits run out, don't feel shy to reach out on Slack. We can always get you more credit for that. However, you'll need to use your personal email to redeem the credits. Also, if you're using Africa Stocking for the first time, you'll get 10 shillings to test your SMS USSD session as well as voice. But generally, the sandbox is free. So you can actually test your solution on sandbox end-to-end. Definitely, when you want to go live, you need to generate a new API key for live and change, depending on the product you're using. If you have a send ID, you need to change all that, and then you can go live. Something else that is very important, create your Google developer profile, which will help you track your badges as you finish some of these labs and share them with us. And with that, you can also get some rewards, which we'll be giving during the in-person session. And for those who will not be able to reach, you can see we can send them to you. Definitely, there will be a cash prize for the best project that utilizes the technology and showcases how they used it to solve the problem. So I'll stop there and invite Graham briefly before we invite Dagi as our main speaker today. Graham, the floor is all yours. Graham, I'm not sure if you can hear us. All right. As Graham solves the technical challenge, I would like to now welcome Dagi to take us through the session. Dagi, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, MK. Thank you, Graham. Yes, so let me share my screen. Yes, good. So my name is Douglas Mungi. I'm a full stack software engineer at Africa Stocking. And today we'll be presenting with Sylvia Jebet on introduction to APIs. And then we are going to also cover Africa Stocking APIs, and then a bit of it will also touch briefly on the Google side of things. Good. So before we continue, by virtual raise of hands, I'd love to know. Oh, sorry. See, Graham, I was not hearing you. Yes. So
Yeah,
before
that's MK, but I can hear you now.
nice. Before I continue, let me first pass it back to Mr. Graham. Then we'll continue.
Was I called? I didn't hear
Yes.
MK. I couldn't hear you. Actually, maybe it was my side. I had to refresh my whole.
Could everyone else hear me? So that's
I
very
couldn't hear you, so
interesting.
I had to refresh. I had to refresh my browser.
Okay. I'd invited you to say a word or two, and then we start.
Oh, yeah. So welcome, guys. I hope you're having a great day. Nice to hear from Douglas and MK. I don't know, guys. Switch on your cameras, guys, so we can. Where are you hiding? But apart from the introduction, I think we are going to have a good time. We are growing the experience. Hopefully, by November, we'll also have some in-person experiences in Kenya and across. Don't forget to complete your badges. This is very important. Everyone who complete, as you complete your badges, we are going to be giving the swag in the physical meetups starting in November. So make sure you are completing your badges. Secondly, make sure you are completing some of the projects or your own capstone project that brings together the Africa Stocking APIs and the Google Gemini APIs. This is also going to be very important for the sharing of swag, but also we are going to be having some cash gifts. So, guys, don't forget that's the second thing. The third thing is feel free to share this with your friends, retweet or comment on the posts when you see them. Number four, um, don't forget to use your cloud credits. MK has shared a link here for where you can use to grab some Google Cloud credits for your projects. And in case you are in need of more credits, do not hesitate to request them on the Slack channel so that we can give you if these credits are not, I mean, you have exhausted yours from this batch, we should be able to give you another batch. Over to you, Douglas.
Yes. Good. Thank you, Graham. We'll share the screen. Perfect. Yes. So my name is Douglas Mongi, or you can call me Dagi, the shortened form of Douglas. I'm a full stack software engineer at Africa Stocking, and today we are going to explore. We are going to explore APIs. Basically, we are going to introduce you to APIs if you've never handled them before. And we're also going to dive into several of Africa's talking APIs, communication APIs, that's SMS, airtime, SIM swap. Yes. And I'll be presenting with Sylvia.
Sorry, Dagi, we can hear the people in the room, so it's a bit hard to.
No, it's better, right? Okay.
Yes, as of now.
Okay, nice. Okay, let me first duplicate this. Move it over this side. Yes. Good. Yes. So we are going to cover communication APIs. That is SMS, airtime, SIM swap. Then after that, we are going to look into how to authenticate APIs. We're going to look into the request response cycles, error handling, API security, and the likes. Yeah. Something else that we're going to do is we are also going to look into how to work with the Africa Stocking API documentation, where to find what, how to reach our SDKs, how to get resources, sample codes, examples, and the likes. Yeah. Yes. So, but before we start, a recap. In our earlier modules, that is module 1 and 2, we walked through how to set up your Google developer profile, and resources like Firebase, and how to interact with Gemini API. And all the links be available in here. Let me paste the link right here. Yes. Next, after that, I want to by a show of virtual hands. I'd like to know how many people have interacted with APIs before. Oh, nice. That's a pretty good number. Yes. So what are APIs? And so what are APIs? The best analogy to understand APIs is the restaurant and the restaurant waiter and customer analogy. Yeah? Where the kitchen in this case is like the server. It's where the magic happens. This is where like the database lives. And then on this other end, this is where the browser mobile app is. Yeah, that is the user. Then you can think of API as a guy that understands both the customer side, the client side, the browser side, and understands both the server side. Yeah. So say, for example, you walk into a restaurant and you want to order, say, some pizza. Yeah. And you want it made in a specific way. Maybe you want it to have, more cheese or maybe less cheese. You relay that request. Yeah. And then the waiter, in this case will be the API, goes to the kitchen and relays that to the chef. So and then you can think of the restaurant's menu as the guidelines for interacting with the API, or you could think of it as the HTTP methods. Yeah. So, for example, I'm trying to find a better word to put this. say for example, you want maybe to, okay, let's first jump into the method so that this analogy can fit properly right in. Yeah. So an API is a way for two software applications to communicate with each other, and it defines a set of rules that allows programs to talk to each other. Yeah. So there are different types of APIs. They are GraphQL, there's SOAP, but in this specific module, we are talking about REST APIs. Yeah. So REST APIs use HTTP methods to communicate, and there are quite a number. There's get, post, put, patch, delete. You mostly use get to fetch or retrieve data, and post to send the data, then put and patch to update, and delete to remove. Yeah. Say let me yeah, I've switched over to the notebook version of it, and the link is also in the resources. The link is also in the resources. Good. Yes. So some of the key concepts to understand on REST API is things like endpoint, headers, body or what you call the payload, and then the response. Yeah? So the endpoint in this case is where the data is heading or where the data is originating from. That is in the case of get or fetching. Yeah? Or in the example of our analogy, the endpoint is the kitchen. Yeah. Then the headers, this extra information that is sent with the request. Say for example, the authentication key, the what do you call this? The X client, that's a type of custom header that you add. Then there's the payload, that is the data contained, and say a post or a patch kind of request. And then now there's the response. And for this one, I'll fire up Postman so we can have a good, a practical reference. Yes, okay, let me close all this. Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing some private things. Let me just stop for a moment and switch. Yeah. Yes, so let's for example, let's have a simple get request. Let me find yes, so for example, this URL that I'm feeding here, this what's called the endpoint. Yeah, sometimes it could be something else. It could have some extra, an extra part at the end. This is like the method. So there's get, post, put, patch, delete, yeah, and others like head and options. But in most of the APIs that you're going to interact with, there'll be gets and posts. The rest are not that common, but they're in the standard. Yes, so then when you make the API request, what you get here is now the response. Yeah? So in our case, this is a get, but we can add some parameters. For example, maybe Jondo. So if you add a parameter name, the response will change. Something else to note is the response status code. So when we first did without the parameters, we got an A422, which is unprocessable entity. Now when we did it correctly, we got 200. So basically the request was successful. So so here's the part where we did that in Postman, but we can also do it in something like CAR. And the CAR equivalent of this is actually just next year. Let me paste it. So you can just open a terminal and then feed in the CAR request, and you get the same outputs. Yeah. The only thing that's not displayed here is the HTTP status. So before we continue, I'd like us to first get the fundamentals of the notebook, because some of this code we are going to run it right in this notebook. Let's switch over. Storing it. Present it. Good. So pre-module checks. Pre-module checks for using a notebook is to first know the operating system you are on. And the way I'll do this is running the lsb command. Oh, where do we get the link to the resources or notebook? It will be shared, Clifford, it will be shared right there in the chat. Don't worry, it will be pasted right now. Yes, that link tree, good. So before we proceed, we need to know the kind of environment we have here for the notebook. And to do that, we run this lsb release command. And what we see is that we are using Ubuntu 22. Something else is we are going to be using Python in this module, in this tutorial. And we're also going to be using the Africa Stocking package. So once again, we list, and let's see. Yeah, it's not installed, so that means we will need to install it down there. And the way to install it is running pip install Africa Stocking. Good. Now that we know we have all the fundamentals satisfied, we can proceed with our tutorial. So the way to make that request that we did on Postman, the way to do it inside the notebook is by first of all importing the requests library, and then the Africa Stocking one, then the JSON one. So I'll just run this. Then on your end, you can also run it. And then the next thing is this script, where our endpoint is api.agify.io. That website claims to predict your age based on your name. Of course, it's not a real prediction. It's for tutorial purposes only. And then the parameters here you feed is the name, which will be your name or something else. And then once we run that request, you get a response which we pass to JSON format. The equivalent of this in a different language will be, so for example, let's do it in JavaScript. The equivalent of it in JavaScript looks like this. Maybe I can zoom. Yeah. The equivalent of running that request in JavaScript looks like this. It's just that we did it in a Python request. It's just that we did it using Python. Oh, here was JSON. Yeah. So when you when you run this request, what you notice is first of all, the kind of output you get is in JSON format. If you needed it in a different format, you'd probably change this to text. Yeah, another way you can change it to, it's JSON in text. Yeah, JSON in text. Yeah. And something else you'll notice, of course, the status. And something else is looking for the headers. Yes. Something else you'll notice is the headers that you get. So this one will basically tell you what kind of server gave you this response. But definitely you should not depend on this because it can be customized by the server sending it. Are you also going to get the content type of the response and the length, yeah, and details like this. Now, if you change the name, definitely you're going to get a different age. Say, for example, let me change it to. I see your hand up, Arimi. Oh, okay.
It was a mistake.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Good. Yes. So if you change the name, say for example, let's say for example, use my name. Definitely the age will change, and of course I'm not 64, but I hope to reach that age. Yes. So the reason I showed you this in Postman, it's because every aspect of APIs can be captured in Postman, where you can even send custom headers. In our case, we are not sending any besides the default ones, which is user agent. If you are running this request on a browser, the user agent will be something like Chrome, Mozilla. Actually, let's do it in the browser real quick. JavaScript fetch, copy. I'm going to open developer tools. And then under developer tools console, we paste that request. Let me also clear here so that we can see what will happen. Yeah, so there's that same request. And where is the user agent? Yeah, so in this case, the user agent is saying Mozilla 5.0. Yeah, that's in the request headers. The payload that we had was a query parameter, which is name. And again, the response we got is similar to what we got here. Yes, we can also see the status code that came from that request, and as well as the IP of the endpoint that we pinged. So basically, what I'm trying to communicate here is that the standard, the way to hit API endpoints is the same, even across different tools. Yeah, you just follow that standard. An endpoint with parameters optionally. You get a response that has the status code, and then you can format the status code with a JSON or text, depending on what the server supports. So if for example the server responded with let me see if for example the server responded with a content type application/XML. Is it application.xml? Yes, it responded with that. It means us attempting to do response.json will throw an error. I see a question from Eli.
Yes, Douglas, I'm saying, yes, I'm struggling a bit to see the content on your screen. So if you can zoom in kidogo,
Okay.
so that I can be able to, yeah.
This is better, right?
Yeah.
Sawa. Let me also zoom my terminal. Yeah. Actually, let me zoom everything. Yes, perfect. Thank you for raising that. Yes, so if the server didn't support a content type application JSON, we'll get an error when we were trying to do a response text. Yeah, a client side error, not a server side error, a client side error. Yes, so so how would this request look if, say, we were doing a post? If you were doing a post, you'll definitely switch the method to post, and then we will avail a JSON body. Maybe assuming this server supports something like country. So we've given it country Kenya, and then made the request. Of course, I don't expect a response because our endpoint doesn't have that post. So that's why we got a 404 status code. Yeah. Yes. So with that, we've covered just a bit of how APIs look like. Does someone have a question before we proceed a bit more into the AT side of things? Okay, I'm assuming no.
Someone wants you to zoom in. Ellie Kelly
Eddie Kelly.
in the chat.
Oh, Eli Kelly. Oh, yes. Eli Kelly had raised. You got it better now, right?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Nice. Thank you. Good. So now into the Africa Stocking. So Africa Stocking offers different APIs. There's SMS, voice, USSD, airtime, then there's insights, mobile data, and now we have chat. So chat is a new one. Actually, chat and insights are pretty new. You use SMS to send and receive messages, either bulk messages or singular messages. For voice, you use it to make and receive calls. This is good for call centers, for doing OTPs, voice OTPs. Actually, for example, if you've signed up or signed in into Telegram, nowadays they usually send you an OTP via a phone call. Yeah. And if I'm not wrong, Telegram actually uses Africa Stocking Voice API. The other one is USSD, which is mostly used for interactive. It's actually used for interactive menus, and one of the best use cases is things like SACCOs, microfinances, banks, things like that. Then airtime mostly used, to do batch dispatches of airtime at a discount. So, for example, if you need 100 bob worth of airtime, it will cost you about 96. If I'm not wrong, instead of 100 bob, so you save on 4. The best place to reach our to read about our APIs is developers.africastocking.com, and here you'll see each of those APIs that I've talked about. And for the new one, they're going to be under the preview parameter. So remember the parameter that we spoke about in the APIs? Yeah, you can add a parameter called preview. And you're going to see even our new APIs, in this case, insights. And here, each product has a tutorial and an API reference. Say, for example, for SMS, you see how to send a message using SMS. Then for the API reference, you click on the other side of it, you see SMS. Now, the basic things you need from us to start interacting with an API is, first of all, an Africa Stocking account. And actually, we can even do that right now. So you go to africastocking.com and click on login. And register if you haven't. You can even use either of our providers, our sign-in providers, which is GitHub, Google, and Microsoft. Or again, log in if you already have an account. So since I already have an account, I'll go with sign in with Google. Oh. Okay. Yeah. So once you get into this dashboard, you're going to see Teams, and then you're going to see Sandbox. Now, if it's your first time using our APIs, you might want to start with Sandbox app. And here you can explore SMS API, Insights, USSD, and Airtime. And then on the live side, you can do the same, but now you have the opportunity to interact with the chat, that is WhatsApp and the likes, Insights and voice, which are not, and mobile data, which are not covered inside the Sandbox side. Now, so this was requirement 1, to have an account. Requirement 2 is that you need to create an app, a team, then an app. Now, for account, for example, in my case, if you already have teams, you'll see them here. For example, I have this team called Bella Bookstore, BMI, etc. Yeah. But if you don't have one, you can just come and click here, new team, and then you can create a new team. I won't create one for this tutorial because I already have too many teams. And then once you create inside the team, you get an opportunity to create an app. Again, you give it a name. So maybe I'll call it a good app. A good, or maybe simple app. No, test app. Yeah, and then you select your country and the currency. Yeah. So something I'd mention about currencies is that you are restricted to what currency you are. When you're topping up, you're restricted to the currency that you apply with. So the reason it's telling me failed to create app is because the name that I gave is already used. because usernames are meant to be unique. App usernames are meant to be unique. If it's not unique, you can't create. Now, for example, let me jump into one of the apps that I have. And here's one that's called Coolest App One. Now, the way to get your username and API key. Let me bring that closer. Good. The username is the one that you created the app with, and it's always displayed on the app's homepage. When it comes to the API key, you go to this side menu and click on settings and then API key. And you enter your password. In this case, it is. And then click on request. And a link is sent to your email, to complete this generation part. And then let me log into my email from this other side. Let me show you how that email looks like. Yeah, so this email that came, and it says proceed to generate a new API key, and then I click on it. It comes to this page, and I verify generate. Yeah, now this is how you get your API key. Good. Now, once you have your username and API key, the next thing now is how to use it. If you are if you're coding or if you're writing your code locally, say in VS Code, you can just come and paste it inside the env file. Now let me use the sample one. Yeah, you can come and paste it here, and the username was coolest1. And if you're doing it on a notebook, you can come to the keys section and create a new variable. Say, for example, key paste, give it access, and username. Yeah, that way. And then you also give this access globally. Yeah. So the reason we do this is because you're not supposed to paste your raw values inside the code. Alternatively, we have a very beautiful widget here where you can just come and modify it. Let me run it. Yes. So you can do coolest app one, and then you paste your API key. Yeah. Oops, no. I've run it twice, that's why. One paste, yeah. Of course, this widget has been created by this code that's here. Now, when it comes to API keys, the biggest concern should be security. You should treat an API key the same way you treat a password. You don't share it and then you change it frequently. So we've already covered how to set up the secrets in Colab or your local ENV. And the reason is because for security. Now, how do you consume your API keys or API credentials? You first import the Colab user data. And next after that, we can now utilize it. Actually, let me remove this code from this part temporarily. Yes. So in this case, I think I've called it a different name. AT username, yeah, it is. Yes. So let me delete this too, so that they don't cause confusion. Yes. So after importing the user data from Google Colab, you can now retrieve the username, the value of the username, the environment variable, and you do the same for API key. And the evidence of us having retrieved it successfully is that we printed it and it came here. Maybe I should change it to something else. I just have to override it down here. Run it again. Run it. Oh, there's another tab of this. Oh, I'm seeing an issue in the chat also. All seems to fail when creating an account with Google. Okay, interesting. I look into that, Leonard. It could be an issue. It's actually a new issue. It's the first time I'm seeing that issue. Now, the reason I'm unable to retrieve this is because username does not exist. Okay. Let me add it again. The reason it wasn't running is because of a conflict in. Yeah, done. Yes. So this is how you retrieve your credentials from the ENV var. If you are doing this in your code, it will look like something like. Let me show you. It would look like something like os.getenv. It username. Yeah. Good. Now that we've seen how to create an IT account, create a team, create an app, generate your API credentials, now let's jump into how to send your first SMS using the Africa Stocking API. The documentation for doing this, of course, it's found inside this link, and I'll share it once more. Copy link, paste. So before I continue, since we are using Python, you may be wondering what about other languages. So for this, I'm going to share our repository where we have different SDKs. And here you'll see there's an SDK for Node, Python, Java, PHP, Ruby. I think there's Rust also. Yes, there's Rust. Yeah, even .NET is there. And in case yours is not covered, you can generate it using our documentation. Either using our documentation or using our Postman collection. And here is the link. Yeah. Where is it? New content. Just a minute. Yes. So here you'll see there's airtime, bulk SMS, insights, mobile data. We used to have payments, but it's duplicated. And voice, yeah. And definitely when you click on the requests themselves, you can see the codes that you can use to basically build your own. Yeah. So our SDK is basically this, but now with validation inbuilt. So You can also build for your own language. Close. Yes. So now back to our APIs. So for this part, I will take you to the codes inside my VS Code, and I'll first basically explain what it does. And let me first expand everything.
Sorry, Dagi. Can you tell whoever is in the room to stay in the room, or you find somewhere else, because that door is driving us crazy out here.
So let me communicate that.
In the meantime, allow me to at least say hi and maybe, yes, as Dagi is sorting that out. Hi guys, apologies for being just a little late. My name is Sylvia and I am part of the training team for this particular module, and I'm excited to be here. I've been following along, joined in, and I'm glad that we're making some progress. I hope everyone is able to follow along. Apologies for those who are facing errors with creating your account on Africa's Talking. That is also, a new error, but that will be sorted. But so far, so good, at least just to ensure we're on the same page. Are we all good? So far, everything makes sense? Okay, Eli, question. Okay, raised hand.
Yes, thank you. I think I don't know if I should raise this issue here. It's an authentication issue with Africa's Talking. So I've created an account on, there is community.africastalking.com, then there is the developers.africastalking.com. So I think when I try logging in either of those, I'm always prompted to reset my password. I don't know if there's a conflict with my account on either of those two platforms. So I don't know what the issue is.
Okay. All right. Thank you for bringing that forward. Ideally, those are two. The community.africastalking.com is on a platform called Bevy, and the Africa's Talking account is on africastalking.com. So they do operate separately and have different credentials. So that off error we haven't seen before. So worry not, we've taken note and we'll ensure that it's running as soon as possible and you'll be able to access, yes. But the one thing that Africa's Talking accounts have is the 2FA. So constantly when you log in, you'll always be prompted to go to your email and retrieve the code and paste it. So the 2FA is active, but that off error, again, apologies, let us look into it and then we'll be able to correct that. I hope that's okay. Okay, I hope that's okay. Again, I will personally give a recommendation to the people on this GitHub repo for the API example. Sure, let me share the links to the GitHub repository, but just a minute. But I'll give a recommendation that people get to do emojis on this app. The energy is a bit, usually if you've met me in a meeting virtually or in person before, a very small person with a lot of energy, love reciprocation of that energy just to ensure we're on the same page. So thumbs up can work in the chat. In the meantime, Mike, let me retrieve the GitHub repository link for the API. Awesome. Thank you, Rhoda. Let me retrieve the repository link for the API example. I believe this is the SMS API, but nonetheless, I will explain the GitHub repository that I'm sharing. It should cover most of the developer resources if it hasn't already, and will be added to the link tree that has been pinned in the chat as well. So this particular GitHub link that I'm sharing, wow, love the energy, awesome, thumbs up, fantastic. There we go. This particular GitHub repository that I have shared points to different things. It points to a directory by Africa's Talking called dev resources. Just apologies, just a minute. All right, apologies. Yes, this repository has some few code snippets for a few basics with SMS, airtime that you can replicate. It also has some links to our community page, social media handles. It also has a directory that has all the instructions on how to set up your Africa Stocking account in case you missed something. It has some few tips on where to get the essentials, your API key, your username, and everything that you need. And it has pictures. So if you're usually scared by a lot of words, we got you, because that's what we do. It has pictures to explain that a bit better. So I've shared the repository. Mike, I hope you have seen it. So you can get some API examples here as well. And even in the notebook, there is a snippet for further examples that were shared, but Douglas will be able to add them all. Fantastic, awesome. Let me just address this as well. Leonard, you joined late. Can someone access the Google Drive doc you want demonstrating on? The Google Drive doc, do you mean the slides? May have missed it. Awesome, awesome. But if it's the slides, yes, we will share them and briefly explain how the doc is connected with the program. Awesome. The notebook. Okay. I get you. I get you. The notebook is in the link tree that has been pasted in the chat. Look through all those links. They are many because the program is extensive and we're here to give you lots of work, fun work to upskill. So as you go through the links on that link tree, you'll find module 3, that is introduction to APIs. That is this particular module. So that is the link to the notebook. How is it connected to the program? Very good question. So this program is a collaboration between Africa Stocking and Google, right? So Africa Stocking, we have 2G APIs, SMS, and that's the introduction we're doing, introducing you to APIs in general, introducing you to how to implement them, how to do basics like send an SMS, right? And in Google, you're learning about Google Cloud and Gemini API and various ways of integrating that. At the end of the program, you will do a capstone project that will combine everything. Yes, this is one of those courses where everything you learn is important, no pressure, but you'll be able to implement everything all together. You'll create an application and deploy it to Google Cloud, for example, and then have it call Gemini API to give some particular response, whether it's GenAI where you give it something and it gives you a response, and then you're able to send that back to users via SMS. I don't know, that's just a random idea I've cooked up, but something of that sort. So it will all integrate in the end. It's 2 facets, showing you basically how to integrate 2G and AI, right? Because what are the chances? With the world moving towards AI, we tend to forget that voice is one of the most rampant and widely used modes of communication, if not the highest. Ratio of mobile subscribers to mobile phones is 1-to-1. Everyone who has a phone is a subscriber and uses voice, right? So that's the basic idea, to make you as a developer have all the skills necessary to create very viable, up-to-date, relevant, and solutions that work everywhere. Okay. Okay, I love the chat. I love the energy that's coming up. All right, fantastic. Anything else, even as I... Oh, that's a question in the Slack channel. Fantastic. I will, but let me just say it here because I have seen the snippet and maybe someone else has that question as well, just so that you can also get that response, right? As we are waiting to see if Douglas will work, or I'll continue. So APIs to check the telco belongs to what? SIM swap that checks the swapping of the SIM, not particularly just the SIM swapping. I don't know if that particularly addresses it, but I will refer you to the SIM swap documentation and I will share that link in that Slack channel as well, so that the user can go through as well, and anyone else from the AT team can contribute if there is something additional that can help. All right, anything else? Before we proceed, I believe we were at SMS. Dagi is back. Awesome. No, that's... All right. Oh, fantastic. Yes. The labs or these notebooks as well are available on the event blab. So in case this link tree is too confusing or you're not able to see what you were looking for, please go through the blab for the event. Yes, go through the blab and then you'll be able to get links to those particular, all the relevant links in the blab are always there so that you can prepare, you can follow along, or you can get beforehand, or even after the session, you can get what is important. Yes. Fantastic. Awesome. Back to you, Dagi, to continue, and yes, let's keep the energy going. Awesome.
Thank you, Sylvia. Let me share the screen. Perfect. Okay. Show them. Okay, so. Good. So, Oscar Didi. Interesting. Yes. So now let's resume on the SMS side of things, and in this segment I'll walk you through the Postman side of it, and then the language specific side of it. And on the Postman side of it, the first thing I'll go is to the AT documentation for API reference for SMS, specifically for bulk SMS. Yeah? And remember how in the introduction to APIs, how we looked at things, endpoints, the parameters, and the responses. So same case applies to AT APIs. They are pretty standard. If you're using live credentials, you're going to use the live endpoint, and if you're using the sandbox credentials, you're going to use the sandbox endpoint. And a quick mention is that we have the legacy version of bulk SMS, and then we have the newer one. In live, you can use the newer one. In sandbox, I'd recommend you go with the legacy one, because the new one for sandbox is still being upgraded. So simple thing is that you can just copy it. Actually, let me use sandbox. So I'll copy the sandbox endpoint, then I'll go to Postman, paste it there, and it uses post. Then I'll come and feed in this query parameters. So that is username to message and from. Oops, escape. Yeah, from is actually optional, so let me then I leave it out. And there's this bulk SMS mode. This is around for keyword, but it's optional. Enq is also optional. Link ID is also optional. Link ID comes in handy when you're doing premium messages. Yeah. And then there's the retry duration in hours, again optional. So the most important are username, to, or rather the destination, and the message. These are the most important one. So since I'm using Sandbox, our Sandbox username is always Sandbox. To will be, I'll put my number. Then the message will be hello world. Bulk SMS is actually optional. Let me leave it out. By now you might be wondering, what about the API key? So let me add the API key. The API key belongs to the headers. So before we continue, let me take you through that part that mentions API key. Authentication, yes. So, and here's a part that explains about our API key, and it explains where it lives, which is in our request headers. So I'll come here, switch over to headers, add API key, and I already have it here in the collab. Actually, you can have it locally. Let me get it. Yeah. What else have I left out? Content type. Content type is the form encoded. So let me content type. Which is form encoded. Let me see if I've left out something. Accept, yeah. Accept, which is JSON. Yeah, with this, the request is pretty much ready to go. Username, that I availed it. Just a minute. I confused parameters with the payload. Something that we'll fix in our. We will fix the wording in our documentation. This is more about the request body, not the query parameters. So I'll switch over this to body from data, bulk edit. Yeah, perfect. This should work. Yeah, done. So, so as you've seen, what's needed is the username, the destination, which is true, and the message. And with that, I've built a request for sending bulk SMS. You can do the same in any language. I've just used the UI on Postman, and Postman will generate for me the equivalent for it in Carl, and you can do it in basically any language, even Kotlin. Yeah. Now, the equivalent of that in our Python SDK will look something like this. Collapse it. It basically looks like this, or in our notebook, after importing your username and API key and the customer's number, then initializing the ATSDK for SMS, you basically do SMS.send by feeding in the message and the recipients inside the array. That's what you call it in JavaScript. Yeah, it's pretty much it. So now after this, you are going to get you're going to get the response. Close that one. You're going to get a response that looks like this. Yeah, and again, you can go back to our documentation to understand what each value here means. So in our case, there's the message, then there's the recipient's key. So the message basically tells you, it's the user-friendly way of telling you what has just happened. So we've sent one message, one message. Okay, don't save. We've sent one message to our one user, and it costed us 8 cents. And the message was sent in one part. So for example, if we had a very, very long message, let me try simulating a long message. If we had a long message, it will be split into two. Yeah. But now, since we have just one, but now because we have a short message, or rather within the, I think it's 160 characters, it's going to be sent as just one part of the message. The next part we get is the recipients. So if you are sending this same message to multiple recipients, you'll get multiple objects inside here. Then inside each object, you're going to find the message ID. So this is unique per message, per recipient. Then you're going to get the number, which is basically the recipient or what you put inside the to field. And then the status, which is success, and the status code, which is 101. So this, don't confuse this status code with this. This is about this more of the internal, or rather the AT specific status code. Well, this one is the HTTP status code, which is 200, yeah, or 200, which means 201, which means a new resource has been created. In this case, our new resource is the SMS. You can also get more information about our resources on the documentation. Say, for example, let me search something. Okay, got it here. Yeah. So these are the status code. For example, 100 means processed, 101 means sent, which you got a 101. For example, if the number is a riscode, you'll get a riscode of 41. If you've used an invalid send ID, you're going to get 42, and so on and so forth. If your balance is insufficient, for example, and the way you know that your balance is insufficient is you can see the balance here inside the AT dashboard. And when you click on it, it refreshes. So this one, you can know your balance. The other way you know your balance is by doing an API call to this endpoint, application data endpoint, and it will return your balance. Yeah. Back to the documentation. There it is. Yeah. Yeah, so this is pretty much it about SMS. You can also send messages to a hashed number. Yeah. So, for example, if you've used Daraja APIs, you're going to see a lot of hashed numbers. So you can just use that. So you don't need to. This is more about data protection. You don't need to know the actual number. You can send it to a hashed version of it. The other part you need to know about the API responses is, okay, before I continue, let me see if there's question. Oh, I'm seeing Mike say, I thought AT had a Postman collection with all endpoints. Oh yes, there is a Postman collection with all endpoints. What I've done in this is I was trying to show you how you can build your own queries using the AT API. Yeah. So basically, it's more about understanding the IT documentation. So yes, we do have a Postman collection with every endpoint, but what I did was just rebuild it using our documentation purely. And this is important because when we release new products, we first add them to the documentation before we roll them, in the SDKs and the Postman. Yes, so back to the module. Yeah, back to the module. Yeah, so basically, if you replay this request, you basically get what you've gotten in here. Now, if it was a fail, you would have seen a different status code. You'd probably have seen something like the common one is usually riscode. This is one of the common one. Another one that's common is user in blacklist. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So now, before I hand over to Sylvia, I'd love to give you a mini challenge where you use the SMS API to send a custom message to yourself. Change the recipient number, change the message content, then print the API response and identify the status code, cost, and message ID. Something that I should mention about cost is that the more the volume of SMSs that you're sending at a time, oh yes. So the more the volume of SMSs you're sending, the lower your cost goes. Yeah. You can even send a single message at 0.4 instead of 0.8. So basically half the cost. And of course, you can see all this information under africastocking.com/pricing. Yeah, let me confirm if it's yeah, here. So the more the SMS you're sending, the lower your cost becomes. Yeah, so that's the challenge that I'm offering. Is it? I think yeah, so yes, so now back to, or rather not back to, the next part I want to introduce is, I want to hand over to Sylvia so she can take us through. Yeah.
Awesome. I found the screen. Hi. Awesome. Thank you, Dagi. Fantastic. I think so far we've covered, allow me to just share the resources that are guiding the conversation. So that I can be on track with where we are. There we go. This better work. There we go. So we have done this part. We are moving on swiftly. A recap, sent the first SMS, right? And Dagi has left a nice challenge. Send yourself a really nice message, like just test it out. You can try it on Sandbox if you're feeling like you need training wheels here and there, or you can try it on live if you're good to go, but it should be very straightforward, especially with the explanation that has been given, which has been spot on and fantastic, and should be able to guide you to do that successfully. So this, once you've done that, you already know how APIs work. You've been able to send, get a response, get the message, or if you have an error, you've been able to see the code and be able to understand where the error has come from. Very important is when you are on your Africa Stocking account dashboard, always go there first to even check what the error may be. Might have been a lack of funds to just send that if it was live. If it was on Sandbox, there is no money that is used. It could have been a small error here and there. You can always cross-check there. Always cross-check with the documentation as well. Maybe there's a necessary parameter that you're missing, or an optional one that you're putting and it's now causing errors. Always confirm with those first, just to understand where the problem is, right? Awesome. So we are moving on. Airtime. So airtime works in a similar way to SMS. You've been introduced to Africa Stocking APIs using the SMS API, but we have a different APIs. But now airtime works in a similar way to SMS. A caveat with this, which is one of the links again that has been placed in the resources, is some of these APIs need you to get prior activation in order to use it. They don't come pre-made in your account. SMS you can use on Sandbox. Most of these things, all of them you can use on Sandbox, but when it comes to live, some of them have a caveat. There's that form there. If you want to test it out live, airtime would need your account to be activated. SMS would need you to be mapped with a sender ID so that you can actually send that message and receive it. Likes of USSD, when used live, would need you to be mapped with a particular code, and voice as well will need you to be mapped with a number. They don't come auto implemented or auto done for your account. So again, fill in that form. We'll go through it and be able to communicate back to you or activate it on your side. So now using the airtime this time, if you have already done your homework, we actually switch up to the documentation and show something very interesting. If you've already done your homework, you would see that bulk SMS, which is the one that we're using, the legacy version, the original one, is very similar to how airtime works, the way of saying it, even in terms of what is required, right? You use the SMS service here and the airtime service there, but what you're passing apart from the credentials is a number, a message, and the sender ID for this one. While in airtime, you do something similar, and that's why they work in a similar way. Apart from credentials and calling the airtime service, it's number, but amount and currency code. It's very important. Some of these things you see here are very important because the product or the API works all across. So if you miss that currency code, you probably will not be able to get that airtime, right? You really need to put the right currency code. And even important when you're writing your phone numbers, always put the country code, +254, +251, +250, +234. Yeah, I'm going all around Africa, right? But if I to mention all of them, we'll stay here till night. But always put that country code as well so that it maps to the right number. Those are some of the key essential things. So moving on to airtime, just a quick snippet of it and how it works is implementing that in a similar way. All right, fantastic. Switching up to that. And I will use the notebook. This is the notebook that we had. So far, don't need to see all this. Right, sending an SMS. Pretty similar like this. So I'll show where the key elements to change are, but it's more or less the same thing. It's a similar one-to-one mapping. So for example, we were calling the SMS service here. So we'll just switch that up and call the airtime. Again, switch this back up later, just so that it doesn't confuse anyone who tries to read this later on. And we call that airtime, right? So we can switch up to that instead. It's using the same things, my credentials that are in Collab Secrets, and I also added customer number there just so that, again, security when you're writing a code is very important. Don't display everything for everyone to see. That information is important in life. Yeah, in life generally. All right, so the recipients in this case would be that particular number, customer number. Now, instead of the message and the sender, I'll change this to amount because my spelling has, and the currency code, right? So this particular amount, let's just set something small, just like a good token. Currency code, I will work with Kenya shillings, and yeah, we're calling the airtime service. So whatever I'm sending to the airtime service also changes now. There's no message, but recipients and amount, the amount that I'm sending, and the currency code, right? That's the exact one. Send us, okay, just to make everything uniform, we call the function send airtime. Ideally, this should be it. You edit it, get a number, just send the same things and send them back. Don't know if that's the right API key. Send airtime, it's my spelling. Sorry. Phone number is invalid. That's the phone number. Interesting. There we go. No error message. It's sent 20 shillings. There's the discount. That's basically reading the response, which was covered in a module up here that Dagi has done. Can't find them now. But yes, this is basically the idea. So not all of them will be editable like this. I am just using this so that we save on time and get to move. But you need to understand what you're doing, right? A function that sends airtime and SMS are similar. Think about this in terms of even when you're thinking about solutions to build for that capstone project, think about how you'll implement airtime and SMS. They could work in a similar way, right? But think about implementation now in real life or on the ground. Do you want to have an application that sends messages to particular users or customers? Do you want to incentivize with airtime? So if you've noticed, I was putting the gift package when I wrote the word airtime because it's mostly for incentivization, but be creative and use it in different ways. To confirm this, the details I have used at Sandbox. I don't have an activated airtime. No, but let's resend it again. So on Sandbox, in case you are new or have never used this before, if you go to the developer documentation, must have been covered on how to get around African stocking. There's some of the resources over here, right? So I'm using the simulator. If you do anything on Sandbox, it works on the simulated phone. This is just the same documentation. Here are the API references, and you can switch back and forth. The simulator is over here. So if you connect to that particular phone, you switch on your phone. Yes. Then tell yourself you have multiple phones. So allow me to just run that again. Oh yeah, a duplicate. This is actually a good thing to show you. Yeah. So I've tried to run the function again so that you can see the response on my now switched on phone in the simulated phone. And there is this, a duplicated request was received within the 5 minutes. So this is something that you will probably face when you're using airtime. If you try to do the same call within 5 minutes, you will tend to see that it will not happen. See, this is Africa Stocking just taking care of you so that you don't waste your money thinking it's not gone, right? Name a company that cares for developers. I'll wait. But if I wait, it will take forever. So let's just focus and move on. Yeah. But that's sort of the idea. If you see this, just give it a minute and then try again so that you don't also, again, this is also good practice. If you're a last minute person, yeah, airtime will teach you patience, will teach you to test the demo 3 days before. Yeah, fantastic. So as you're waiting for those 5 minutes to elapse, that's the overview of at least sending or understanding how to get started. Exactly. That's the overview or understanding of how to get started. And then you can explore further APIs. In the advanced module, we'll get to show you even the other types of APIs that we have. The likes of USSD and voice work in a similar way, but in a sort of different way. Because now with these ones, there's a different layout altogether. However, they're all communication APIs. So even as you're exploring, try implementing them here and there, try testing them with even basic things, and then you'll be able to see how they work further, right? I hope 5 minutes have elapsed. Finding filler content to say is usually difficult. Just my luck. Nonetheless, we will move on. You at least got to see how it looks. Let's go back to the slides. You got to see how it looks. Basically, what you'll receive is a message that shows the airtime has been received by that phone. Again, with a simulated phone, it's just a message depicting that. You can't make a call on that simulated phone, so it's not actual airtime. But if you do it live, you actually receive airtime. There's usually a minimum amount. So when you're going through, ensure you look at the documentation, look at the minimum amount, don't say it doesn't work yet. If you're in Kenyan context, for example, you're trying to send 2 shillings and the minimum is 5 shillings. Be a bit generous with your sending, kind of, right? But it's the similar way. So just to do the overview, you can test it on your own and see did it work and what did not work, what was successfully sent, what was not. Some of the common errors you'll face, such as authentication, check your credentials, your username, and your API key. Those are the first things to always confirm that are correct. What insight do you get from the responses? Sometimes, like Dagi said, you can send a message and you think it's one message, but because of the capping, you realize and you start saying, African stocking, why are you taking 16 shillings on my one message? But you realize you sent a very long message, so it was broken down, right? things like that. Always get insights from your responses. Don't just assume them. If you find status 200, okay, you move. No, sometimes go through it to see some key details. What other key points do you notice? These are also conversations to keep the Slack channel live. Like you can, if it's your first time working with APIs or 2G APIs, you may have used Gemini APIs, GenAI APIs, or different APIs before, but maybe it's your first time working with 2G APIs. Leave something in the Slack channel, say what you learned, like tell someone something that you noticed. And that's the essence of community. You're all learning from each other as we go, right? Yeah, so like I mentioned, some resources need activation, and you will face that if you try to do it on your own. There's the Google form, and it's also on the link tree. If you've already filled it in, all the responses have been received. We'll get back to you. Don't worry, we're not ignoring you. No, we're not like that. Like we said, if there's a company that loves developers, yeah, so don't worry, we'll get back to you. Awesome. See, we are almost done with our session for today, and we're cruising nicely. So just getting into it before we get to the final part, thumbs up, thumbs up. All this energy needs some reciprocation. Fantastic. Okay, as I'm waiting for the thumbs up, because the developers on the call are not listening, there we go. Yeah. It's resent again. So I've been able to run it after the 5 minutes have passed. And yes, okay, let me go. This is my simulated phone, and here I am opening the chat. There's one new message. You actually can see the alert here, right? You have one unread message. So I open it, and there it is. This is, you've received 20 shillings worth of airtime. Sandbox is to help you just understand, get familiar if you're not used to the product, but now on a real phone, you'll get real money, guys, real money. So your account needs to be topped up. Yeah, that real money comes from somewhere, and we love developers, but also not a charity organization. Just keep that in mind. Awesome. I love that the energy in the chat is good and lively. We move on. Back to the slides. Sorry, this sharing this tab thing is usually a hassle. Here we are. So finally, conclusion. We can do just a summary of what we've done today and then a teaser of the next steps, because we'll build up from this. This was essential. This was like 101, just to get you acquainted with Africa's talking APIs, right? You have the 101. So when we're moving forward, we'll continue adding up on that knowledge. So it's very essential that this one you understand. There's a quote that says, the foundations are the easiest, but the most difficult to master. It's easy and it's understandable, but it's the most difficult to master. That's why you find yourself having very difficult, very small errors here and there. Check on your foundations. Again, anything in life. Wisdom I'm spewing today. So this was the summary. We learned what APIs are, how REST APIs work, the Africa Stocking platform. Links are there in case you're confused or something is not clear. You can always reach out, and the various products. I love that there's good questions as well. That's very nice. It shows that you're engaging and looking into the APIs, right? Yeah. And then practice making API calls using the Collab module as well. Again, it was just small cells to help you get started. Now build a whole application based off of that. Sent SMSs. So how airtime is sent on Sandbox, you can all do it. If you need it activated, we have the link tree that has all the key resources. And we've understood authentication, responses, and security. Very important. Don't show your API keys, your credentials. Don't put them out for the world to see. Guys, especially when you're posting to public platforms, GitHub, yeah, the likes, don't. Just, yeah, put them in .n file in your notebook, put them in secrets. Yeah, not everyone needs to see that. So like I've said, next steps, we'll explore and advance now, build up on what we've learned, the remaining APIs, and then a snippet on how to integrate with Gemini API. So we're now going to do an API merge, mega API consolidation. That's all the English I have. But yeah, we're going to learn how to integrate that. For the person who was asking, how is this important for the program? You can already see how it's building up, right? So you're going to learn how to integrate, call one API, have it do something, give that response to another API, have it do something else, right? Yeah, so brace yourselves. You're on the path to being an API guru. Trust in you. You got this. It's going to be an amazing journey, and this is going to be so much fun. In the chat, I'm just going back to the chat to confirm there's no one I'm leaving behind. Yes, subscribe to the Africa Stalking YouTube channel. Very important. The content engineer himself is speaking. Hey, words of wisdom. Yes, there is the YouTube, africastalking.com YouTube channel. It has more explanations, more breakdowns, and even just videos about what developers all around are saying. It's not just people from it, it's the community itself. So go on there, see how people are actually implementing these APIs in different applications. Just learning how to make an API call is one thing, but using that to make a difference, using that to solve a problem is a whole other thing. And that's why we do what we do, right? So head on there and get a snippet of that. That being said, thank you. It's been real from the trainers. And yes, was it trainer? Anything API based, we got you. Hashtag we love nerds. Oh, this video is going to be publicized. Wow. And then there was Dagi as well. Round of applause for the trainers. Hashtag build with AT. These are actual quotes. Yeah, these people said this. Don't do research too much into it, but just believe that's how it went. Awesome. So yeah, that is it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right. Yeah. If there are no further questions.